How's it, guys? Welcome to another video of Davy's shenanigans under old broken cars that keep falling apart all the time. Following on from a video yesterday where I showed you guys how to remove a front bumper. This is the result. We finally managed to get it all off, and just as a finishing touch, I have to remove this unit to replace the AC fan, which I will do one day. As you can see, all it took was the pop-out clips of the front trim, 2 vent trims, and then the Torx 50 bolts which came out the top. Remove the back trim, 8mm bolts, screws, they go all the way up, and away you go. Before you do, unplug your fog lamps and unplug your thermometer. When unplugged, if you switch the car on later, it should read minus 40 degrees centigrade on the dial inside. So I'll give you a warning every time you switch the ignition on. So don't be frightened if you come across that. There's another thing that I need to remind you guys of. When you pull your bumper, before you do, make sure you disconnect your tube for the headlight washer. I didn't, and I broke it off. But it's just as well, because I found that this was perforated anyway. It's like a very thin, rigid plastic. You can hear how brittle it is. So I'm off to Halfords, and I'll be buying a new tube, which I'll just junction off there somewhere. Install tube. There you go. I don't need to replace the lot. I just cleaned out there yesterday, removing all the gunk and dirt by the washing reservoir. It's quite a complex arrangement, as you can see, and this whole damn thing needs a good old clean out and some rust converter. I'll carry on doing that later on. The most important things I need to do is on the near side. This was a failed MOT, that's why I've got all this open now, and it's a stitch in time for me. I left this one a little bit late though, but the what I should have done is protected this neoprene rubber steering gaiter, and it's split from use, so obviously very old. I'm glad to see that the ball joint shroud or dust cover is okay, and the steering joint point is in good nick. So I was quite chuffed with that. And yeah, just a word to the wise. When using ball joint splitters, these guys worked admirably, alright, but it's not that easy to get in. It went in, but it didn't go all the way in there like I wanted it to. It kind of sat just on the lip over here, and I had to try and it was not really seated very well on top of the stud. I kept the nut on just to give it a little bit more surface area, and it kind of like offset a little bit like that, and it managed to pull. So I was lucky, because I've seen people struggle with these joints, and well, I'm going to try and keep mine, you know, tip top, so that I don't have to battle again when it comes to doing any fiddling around here. But so it slipped in there, you tighten it up, there's the stroke. I mean, you can see that it's just on the last thread, right? So you've got full thread into the bracket, and then I just tightened it up with my number 19 spanner. This is a number 19, the number 19 on your ball joints as well. That's great news. And then it tightens, it grips and tightens, and then you just let it go. You don't keep tightening. Obviously I used some anti-seize and stuff as well. That's just cleaned up, you know, the top of this, because it was obviously full of grime. And then as I tightened, I let it go, I left it, and then it just clunks, it opens all by itself. You'll see videos on YouTube with the guys doing it as well. Boom, and it just pops out. But what guys don't show you on YouTube is that there, right, when you come to tightening this back up again, instead of using a car jack to press this back inside to hold the stud while you tighten the nut, because the joint will rotate, there's an Allen key in the stud on top. So just use your Allen key. I think it's a number 5, I'm not sure. Just use that to hold the joint while you tighten the nut down, and that should be, it's just more of a professional way to do it, you know, and it'll save you time and anguish. So there you go, 5mm. Alright guys, so that's how you tighten it back up. But now, as you can see, my videos are a variety of things here. One of them is taking this steering rod, and you can see it's designated L for left. Left being always designated in respect to the car driving forwards, left being on the left and right being on the right. So regardless of left-hand drive or right-hand drive, left will always be your port side and your starboard side will be right. The longest words on the right and the short words on the left. So red, left, port, right, near side. This tie bar, the steering tie bar, has got threading on it. I was hoping I could just slip this gaiter off and slip a new one on and be done. And then I also explored the option of using what they call cyanoacrylate super glue, which is general super glue, to stick that diaphragm, those two pieces together. Obviously clean it up real good and stick them together and clamp them down, because that's the only stuff that will glue rubber. Neoprene rubber, EPDM rubber, nitrile rubber, NBR. I believe in automotive applications, steering gaiters are made of neoprene, nitrile for these, and for performance they tend to use EPDM rubbers, maybe because of their durability. But you also need the flexibility in this. So neoprene, yeah, it's great. I've seen people, repair diving suits with super glue. So I would have thought I could have done the same here, but I'm going to just, practice due diligence and remove the entire gaiter and replace it. But as usual, I've made two mistakes. I can always slip this back into its position. But I realized that this is very rigid on the edge here, and it's a face that fits into a chamfered, a machined recess into the shaft. So I will not be able to pull that off, and I'll definitely not be able to pull a new one onto all this stuff, all this gubbin. So that means I have to remove this tie bar, which I didn't want to do. It means that I have to remove this nut from that one there and effectively destroy my steering. So I've counted the thread. It's 10 threads from the top down to the nut where it is now. I've also taken a photo for my reference, and I'm going to mark it as well. I don't want to do this, but it's the only way I can get the new gaiter on. So I will provide another video on how I go about doing that. So, alright, I'm just waiting for my parts to arrive, and then I'll film that issue as well. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, if there's any questions, please send them over, and if there's any comments or advice, I'll be only willing to accept it. Thank you. Have a good one.